Hi, Miss Fifi. I absolutely love your podcast. I absolutely love your content, being the Scottish queen that you are. I wanted to ask you a question about your Toronto Maple Leafs. How well do you think that they did in the draft, the free agency, and some of the trades that have happened? Do you feel like this team has gotten better, worse? Do you think they're headed in the right direction? I would love to hear your thoughts on it. Let me know. Thanks again for doing this.
Hi Doug, it's Fifi, the Scottish Leafs Queen. Thanks so much for asking me to join you in discussing everything, all the exciting stuff that's been happening in Leafsland. I've taken a few wee notes so I don't get lost, but first things first, that NHL Draft 2026, first overall, the Leafs are proudly selecting Gavin McKenna, and we all knew that it would be foolish not to select him because he was projected as the first overall, and I think we've absolutely bagged a good one there. Whether he's generational or not, time will tell. However, he's such a good player and he's definitely one to watch. I think that he could be a really natural replacement for Mitch Marner. He's very good at playmaking, but he's also really good offensively. So I'm really excited to see what his stats are going to be in the new season. But we also picked up a really couple of good defence guys that are going to help come up through that pipeline, because we all know that the Leafs have been a wee bit lacking in defence. We got Bilicki and we got McKenzie as well. We also got a nice couple of goalies, Juuso Anasto and Patrick Plumans, again feeding that pipeline now that we have Joseph Woll, who's moved on, and Hildeby, unfortunately, who was traded. Poor Dennis. Anyway, I think that overall we did really well in the draft. Maybe not as well as the Sharks did, but I'm really pleased with the picks that we took. But moving on to the free agency frenzy, what an absolute day that was. I was glued to the television. I loved it. I was so excited to see who the Leafs were going to bag, and my God, did John Chayka go on a spending spree. He was like me in a handbag shop. He didn't know what to do. We've actually got a really good setup now. We've managed to get a lot of good guys in. We've got McWard, Rabinski, McEwen, Brandon Duhaime. All of these guys we've managed to get in on 2 or 3 year deals. We've also got the one and only Sergei Bobrovsky. Who would have thought this time last year that we would be sitting saying that Bob was a Maple Leaf? This is just outstanding. I can't get my head around it. I'm actually really excited, and I'm not too worried about his season last year. He was playing behind a really, really depleted team, a lot of injuries. I don't think we need to worry. Bob's stats speak for themselves. 2 times Vizina Trophy winner, 2 times Stanley Cup champion, and he's played with Stoley before. Stoley was his backup. They work really well together. I think that his age doesn't concern me either. Goalies always peak a bit later and can play later as well, so I'm not too bothered about that. And I sometimes think that people just focus on, the last season. Let's not worry too much about that. And it was a decent deal, because you've got to remember that Bobrovsky was asking for something ridiculous like 7 years at $9 million. For the Panthers. I actually wonder if he asked for that because he wanted out. We've offered him 3 years at 7, and I think that's a really good deal. That takes him up to the age of 40. I'm excited to see Bob on the team. Now, a lot of the guys that we've got in free agency are forwards, but a few of them are defensive forwards. You've got Duhaime, Sissons and Bluger, they're more defensive forwards. So you've got to say that maybe in the aspect of looking at forwards that can actually pull back and play defensively, this might be quite a good move for us until we build our D-core. Although we do have Darren Radish, he obviously we traded him in, so absolutely excited to see him play as well. The other one that really stands out for me is Jack Roslovic. Now, we all know Jack Roslovic is a really good friend of Austin Matthews, so isn't it quite telling that a lot of these moves maybe have been built around the need to make sure that we're satisfying our captain, because we all know the rumours before the end of season that Matthews was not happy at all, and there was even talk that he might move on. So by building this sort of team around him, you're wondering if that's going to satisfy his, in the short term anyway, desire to stay on the Leafs. Time will tell. I think the overall thing to say about the whole free agency and all the signings recently is they've all been signed to really short-term deals. Do I think that this is a cup contender next year? No, I don't think the team are going to go that far. I do think they should make the playoffs with this. To me, this is a short-term solution to the problems that they had last year. This is something to get the interest back in the Leafs and make them a contender for at least getting into the playoffs and potentially going on a bit of a run. It's short term. Time will tell what's going to happen in the future. But when you've signed people from the Marlies, like you've got Quillen, Tverberg and Lettieri, you've signed them on, they can come up through. You've got Cowan as well. Tanev will be fit. Stetcher's re-signed as well. So again, you know, you're building that pipeline to come up through when these 2-3 year contracts are done and potentially these guys move on. Who knows? We don't have crystal balls. I'm a fan. I'm not a statistician. I'm not like an analyst of hockey, but I see things and I read things, and I'm always like, let's see how it pans out. I think these moves are good, and I think there's more to happen. There is talk that we are still trying to move Riley on. We're trying to get him to, you know, forgo his no move clause, and potentially that'll free up some more cap. Because as we stand, we are overspent on our cap right now, which is fine until the season starts. So that's why I believe that our more moves are afoot. But generally, I'm mega excited. Go Leafs, go!